Hello friends, and welcome to another video from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. 30 years and a bunch of weeks ago, the next episode of Star Trek The Next Generation premiered. It was called A Matter of Perspective, and these are my honest opinions about it. This is a very non-Trek episode. It feels like we're watching an episode of CSI or some other similar type of show. The whole plot of this episode is that Riker is accused of committing a crime, and the crew of the Enterprise is trying to find out what really happened. But this episode also opens a very interesting philosophical question. Is there actually something like an objective truth? We have probably all been in a situation where we remembered things differently than somebody else, and none of us wanted to admit they're wrong or even lying. We start with Picard painting a naked woman. Another thing we wouldn't see today, these naked women would be seen as sexism or misogyny or some other BS. Data comes to call him to the bridge because the intercom doesn't exist anymore, apparently, and he immediately changes into an art critic, commenting on everybody's paintings, and he likes all of them except for Picard's. Well, don't feel bad, JL. I thought all of the paintings were really ugly. Riker and Geordi were visiting Dr. Apgar on his space station. Geordi already arrived on the bridge, but he's not happy, and he's suggesting that there was an incident on the station, and that Picard should ask Riker about it. Miles O'Brien tries to beam Riker on board, but there is a weird power drain, and then the station explodes. When Riker arrives on board, he seems to not know what happened. That means that he's not hiding anything, and he has nothing to do with it, right? Soon the Enterprise gets an unplanned visitor, the chief investigator named Craig, who is investigating this case and wants to arrest Riker because his people think that he shot a phaser to the reactor, which was the reason why the reactor exploded, taking the whole station with it. Picard doesn't want to simply hand off his first officer over to somebody else, so he comes up with a better solution. He decides to start a hearing on the holodeck. And this is the episode. They simply watch the recreations of every person's memory of the events, and that's how they try to come up with the truth. First we see how Riker remembers this incident. In his version, Dr. Apgar is nervous about why they arrived, then are visited by his wife, who immediately starts to flirt with Riker. Well, of course, in Riker's point of view, every woman is flirting with him. Riker is TNG's discount Kirk. She also tries to make them drunk, and she is also the one who suggests that Riker and Geordi should stay on the station for the night, when Riker mentioned that the Enterprise left and will return the next day. When she later got alone with him in the visitor's room, she locked the door and basically tried to rape him. However, Dr. Apgar quickly arrived. He didn't understand the situation correctly, tried to punch Riker, but he did an unthinkable thing: he moved slightly. So the good doctor fell on the side of the bed. Next morning he tried to persuade Riker to not report anything, but Riker didn't want to talk about it and let himself get beamed to the Enterprise, where he was informed that the station was destroyed. The investigator, however, has a small change to his program. He claims that Riker, in the last moment, shot his phaser to the reactor, and that's how the station was destroyed. Interesting hypothesis. Is it possible that Riker killed the Doctor? Chief O'Brien has reported a weird power drain. could a character we all at this point of the series know and love commit such a crime? I mean, his version was a little bit too perfect, right? He himself was a victim of both of the aliens, at least in his version. Geordi, Data and Wesley are meanwhile working hard on trying to find any evidence which could help their side. When they find that different parts of the ship are under quote-unquote attack by some weird radiation, I'm not going to go into any details of this subplot, because it's just nonsense and it's not really essential to the complete story. I will just touch it very briefly here and there whenever it will be absolutely necessary for the main plot. So then we see the second version of the events, this time as told by Mrs. Apgar, the Fresh Widow. According to her memories, she was just trying to be supportive of her husband. He promised her that she will soon be rich, but she, at least in this version, is a 1950s housewife who just wants her husband to be successful. In her version, it's Riker who flirts with her, and who asks them if they could spend the night there, and she's the one who has a problem with it. Then he, of course, tries to rape her. That's when the real Riker loses it. He flips out and calls her a liar. But there's a little twist. Deanna confirms that what Mrs. Apgar calls the truth is what Mrs. Apgar believes is the truth. She's not making stuff up. This is how she remembers it. Can both of them be correct? Or do both of them think that they acted inappropriately, so their own brains twisted their memories a little bit? Is the truth somewhere in the middle? In her version, Riker even punches her husband several times and threatens revenge if he reports this incident to Starfleet. Okay, at least this is something which we know didn't happen. At least this one thing is way too crazy to be real. The third version we see is the version of the assistant of the doctor. She wasn't involved in any of the incidents, but Dr. Apgar told her what he witnessed, which means that according to their legal system, this can be considered to be evidence. This version is actually the funniest of them all. Dr. Apgar caught his wife and Riker making out together, completely voluntarily, of course, so he decided to beat the crap out of a man half of his age, and of course he was successful. The next morning he told all about it to his assistant, and told her to take his wife to the planet, and that he will take care of it himself. I love the contrast. The first two versions are very uncomfortable. They included violence and psychological manipulation, and there was a chance that at least some of the parts did actually really happen. The third one was simply a joke, but thankfully Geordi arrived and he got the best theory so far. It's time to check it. Now, all of the versions had something in common. Dr. Apgar was very nervous that the Enterprise inspection arrived so soon. He claimed that he didn't finish the invention yet, but at the same time he promised his wife that they will be rich soon, even though he wouldn't be rich from the deal with the Federation. So the new theory is that he has actually finished his invention already and decided to sell it as a weapon. And after what happened with Riker, he has decided to kill him. The radiation which is bombarding the Enterprise regularly is actually proof of that, and we see the new ending of the simulation. As soon as Riker's transport started, the energy from the reactor on the planet arrived. The reactor turned into a powerful beam, which was supposed to kill Riker in a way which would look like he died in a transporter accident. But what the doctor didn't expect was that the beam got bounced back of the transporter beam, Back directly to the core, blowing it up and destroying the whole station as a side effect. The actor Apgar died after he tried to murder Commander Riker. The investigator retracts his request and Riker is free of any charge, and the Enterprise can go to another adventure. There are two plotlines in this episode. The main plotline is a CSI type of story in which we use cool new tech to investigate the death of a crazy scientist. And I absolutely love this plotline, and I would give it 10 out of 10. However, there is a second plotline. The Enterprise is under fire from the planet. I don't really care about anything what goes on in this plotline. I'm not even going to pretend that I understand or care about the technical or pseudo-scientific side of it. It's actually kind of pointless. I really think that the only reason why it's in the episode is that the writers wanted to give something to do to the science trio. Geordi, Data and Wesley. It's a pity they didn't also use Chief O'Brien more. This sounds like a problem he would be more qualified to solve than, for example, Wesley. And there is one annoying thing about this plotline. Every single time we get to it, it feels like I accidentally sat on the remote control and switched to a completely different episode. Overall, on my standard scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is complete garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode 9 out of 10. Not a masterpiece, but very close to it. The main thing which brings my rating down is the sci-fi storyline in the B-plot. Other than that, this would probably be in my top 10 favorite TNG episodes, if I ever decided to do a top 10 list. So, usually after a really great episode we get a few stinkers, right? Let's see what's the next episode. Oh, the next episode is Yesterday's Enterprise. That's really far from being a stinker. But that's a story for next time. Thank you very much for watching. Stay at home, stay safe, and see you in a couple of days. Bye.